Hey everyone, this is Kit Palmer. I'm the editor of Cycle News Magazine, and I'm up here today with the Royal Enfield folks, and we're riding around on the new Himalayan, the 450. And we had quite an adventure today, and it lived up to what it's supposed to be doing. It's an adventure bike, and that's what we had. The new 450 Himalayan is all new. It's quite a bit different than the original one, the 411, and as good as the 411 one, this is okay. It's way better. It's really, really good bike. It does everything well, and I think the biggest improvement over the previous one. I think the first thing you have to look at is the motor. It's a 450. It's water cooled, and it has a pretty good horsepower increase over the previous one. This one's rated at about 40 horsepower, where the other one was about 25. So you have a big difference there, and the motor is very impressive. And I felt like we're up here at elevation. It's almost 9,000 feet. And we spent all day at that or higher. And for a single cylinder 450, I was very impressed on how well it ran and the power for a single cylinder like this. So I was very impressed with the motor. I mean, it does everything really well. It's easy to ride. It has decent bottom end for being a 450. And so I think that's the biggest talk on this bike is definitely the motor. But it does everything else really well too. The suspension is very good. It's got Showa forks on it, and they work really, really well. I think for my weight, it was just about right. It actually felt maybe a little on the stiff side, but for my weight, I'm like right around 165. I think it was fine. And I was kind of surprised on how hard you can push it. You can ride this bike very aggressively, and the suspension totally can keep up. And I don't think I ever once bottomed it. I do remember one G out that I hit pretty hard, and I don't quite think I bottomed out, but to me the biggest thing was when it hit it and it rebounded, the whole bike stayed planted straight. It didn't kick to the side. And so I found that the suspension and the overall handling of this motorcycle is really, really solid, very stable motorcycle. Another good part about it is just the comfort. It's the ergos are very comfortable. I'm a little bit tall, 6'1", and I took off today when we started. The first half of the ride I was in the standard seating, but the seat is very easy to adjust, and so I raised it up to the highest level, and it was a little more comfortable for me. So I like that. The padding is really good. We were on it all day today, and no issues with the seat at all. It was very, very, very comfortable. So I found the bike to be, again, very comfortable, and I could ride it all day. And once we were done, I felt like, hey, I'd keep going on it. So I really liked that a lot. Another thing I really, really liked about this bike is that adjusting or turning off the ABS is a no-brainer on this. And you could turn off the rear, and then the front stays on. It adjusted a little bit as when you turn the rear ABS off. Very easy to deal with. You just press a button, and you can turn it on or off or whatever you want to do. It does go back on if you turn on the ignition. If you turn the ignition back on, just hit a button and you've turned off the ABS in the back, which is pretty much how I rode it most of the day, because we were in the dirt most of the day on this. As you can see, this bike's pretty muddy. We had a pretty good off-road adventure with it, especially with the mud, and very tricky trails. It was very slick and slippery. And with the smooth power, the way it was, we were able to get through it pretty good. So very easy motorcycle to ride. I think what I just felt like this was a dual-purpose bike. I just really felt like I was riding a dual-purpose bike all day. I did not feel like I was riding your adventure bike, your big ADV bike. It just felt like a dual-purpose bike. And then once I got more accustomed to it, I just felt like I can throw it around. I could hit my lines and move it around and quickly, and the bike responded well. It was just, I was very, very impressed on that with how well it just handled the trail. Another thing I like about it is that this bike has quite a bit of ground clearance, and we saw some rocks out there even though we're in the Rocky Mountains, but there wasn't a whole lot out there. But there were some sections that I never felt the bike bottom out or casing or anything like that. So I really liked how it had the high ground clearance. But overall, I think the bike was just super, super easy to ride. And if I was thinking about just purchasing one bike and I wanted to do some ATV riding, and most of my riding was probably mostly towards the dirt, I would seriously consider this motorcycle, even though it might sound like, oh, it's only a 450. But I'll tell you what, you could go as fast on this as you can on a big ATV bike on the trails. I could go plenty fast as I want with the 450. The only time maybe you would want something bigger is on a long highway or something like that. And but the only really advantage of like a higher horsepower ADV bike is acceleration. Maybe coming out of a turn or something like that, you're going to feel more power, and that's nice. Or if you're in the deep sand, which we really didn't have much of today, but I could imagine, yeah, the high horsepower ADV, the big bikes, they would accelerate much better. But when it just comes to the speed and you're jamming down the trail, this thing will go just as fast as anything and does it a lot easier with a lot more confidence. And probably the best thing of all is the price. What you get for $5,800, which is the MSRP, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal price for what you get. And the other thing is you get a 3-year unlimited mileage warranty, and that's huge. When you put those two things together, I mean, this motorcycle is really, really hard to beat in the big picture. And this bike will be available in the North American market. I believe it's about late September. This bike will be available. It comes in different colors and a ton of accessories you'll be able to get for it. You can get panniers, trunk case, all kinds of stuff you could get for it. And they were basically built by Royal Enfield, so all those parts can bolt right on, and they're going to be built with quality. And if you're wondering about the quality, this thing is built well. A few bikes kind of had some issues in the mud and went down, and none of them were damaged. You come back, you can't even tell. These things are well protected for just the small little tip overs and things. So anyway, in a nutshell, I just really, really enjoyed this bike. It was very easy to ride. I compare it to almost just a really good dual sport bike, and that's what I like to ride when I'm out in the hills. You know, something light, maneuverable. This thing has good power, and it's so comfortable you could just ride it all day. And the other thing I forgot about is just it holds quite a bit of gas. I don't remember exactly. I think it's 4.5 gallons or somewhere right in there, but it can go up to, they claim, 280 miles on a tank of gas, and that's plenty for me, I can tell you that. So between the long range, the lightweight, the smooth power, the good suspension, and the electronics are exactly just what you need, and it has a good electronics kit on it. So anyway, this is definitely a bike worth considering if you're thinking about getting an ATV bike, one that's really good for off-road and get you around town. Highly recommend it. So check it out. Check out cyclenews.com and check out our weekly magazine that comes out every Monday. Thanks for watching.